to Coast AM. Our guest tonight is Alfred Webre. And Alfred, the colony on Mars, is that where that missing $1.5 trillion went?
A good part of it could have gone to the secret space program, which includes the colonization of Mars, and contrary to the terms of the 1967 Outer Space Conference, I like to call and I like to say that the secret strategy of the U.S. government is to make Mars the 51st state. And to, in the same way that it took over Puerto Rico in the Spanish-American War, well, through a stealth strategy, it's colonizing the whole planet, which is filled full of minerals and other riches, and that's what it's doing, and that's a secret strategy. But that's against the Outer Space Treaty, and so that's why among the many other reasons, Andy Basiago and the up to 10 Mars experiencers that I've personally interacted with, all of their stories line up and are congruent. That the U.S. once again is a rogue in international and outer space law and attempting to incorporate a planet as a covert 51st state. That is my kind of conclusion as an international war crimes judge who's adjudged the Bush administration, George W. Bush, Richard B. Cheney, Donald H. Rumsfeld, and their lawyers as war criminals, along with Tony Blair. And I think that they're doing the same strategy that they tried to do in Iraq. They're doing it with Mars, which is to colonize it and to incorporate it as 51st state, which is even more than they did with Iraq.
What do you make about the prevalence of the photography that is all over the internet of different anomalies on the surface of Mars, not only from curiosity, but all of the images that are presented? What do you think? Is that actual evidence?
Yes, it's what we call in the law documentary evidence, and in this case, we have documentary evidence that's backed up by eyewitness experiencers who are interpreting that documentary evidence, and by that means we have the Mars Anomaly Research Society, Mars. You can go to projectmars.net. And that was founded by Mars experiencer Andrew D. Basiago. I happen to be the chairman of the board of advisors, and there's a whole cadre of photo analysts worldwide who are looking at all of the Mars rover photographs. NASA uses 7 different technologies to try and make it very, very difficult for the civilian population on Earth to take those photographs and to get into it and really see the different species of humans on there, the different animals, the different configurations. Mars is an organized, teeming planet. It's teeming with life. It's highly populated with intelligent life. It's got its own social system. It's got, if you believe all of the different whistleblowers, it's got different intelligent civilizations there. Some of them are humans around the equatorial region. Some of them may be reptilian and insectoid up at the polar regions. We have whole battalions of Marines there that are deployed to the Mars Colony Corporation, which are guarding the colonies. And we've had, we know, documented through whistleblowers Andy Basiago, Bernard Mendez, and many others. We have a list of about 20 people that we know were part of the 1980 CIA Mars jump room project, whereby a sort of a jump room or modified teleportation technology that was gifted to the U.S. Department of Defense by a specific species of greys was used to help sort of jumpstart, not to use a pun intended, the U.S. presence on Mars. And included in there was one young Barry Soetoro. He's a gentleman who currently occupies the U.S. White House under his current name, named Barack Obama Jr., which he changed his name from Barack Munaid Obama, Barack Munaid Ubaya, in October of 1982 at a British Columbia court here, not too far here from Vancouver. Barack Munaid Ubaid was the CIA name that they had been given to him as a CIA operative when he changed it from Barry Soetoro. And then they gave him the name Barack Obama, which was the name of a middle-level Kenyan civil servant named Barack Obama Sr., who they had set up in a meeting in Hawaii around 1971 with the supposed mother of Barack Obama, who was kind of his CIA handler, and he agreed to be the father. But then in 1982, the CIA killed him in an assassination auto accident, and that's when they gave him the orders to come here to BC and change his name, because he was running stuff for the CIA, including being a Mars experiencer. And so we have multiple witnesses, all congruent, of Barack Obama being part of the Mars program. Barack Obama on the surface of Mars. What he said in his first time there, he said, quote, "Oh, now we're here." And what happened is that I was a judge in Kuala Lumpur on the Kuala Lumpur War Crimes Tribunal, hearing the case versus the Bush and Tony Blair administrations for the illegal invasion of Iraq, when what happened is that I had published, I had broken the story of this in the Examiner as an Examiner reporter, and they brought out the public relations director of the U.S. National Security Council, which includes the president, the vice president, secretary of defense, and the secretary of state, to deny that story. And all of my information was taken down from Examiner. I was the highest read political reporter on Examiner, and the orders came down from the White House to take those stories down. And that's contrary to the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. And I say that as a man who has taught law at Yale University and have taught the Bill of Rights at the University of Texas. So that was done in direct violation of my constitutional rights as a journalist by that entity.
Alfred, let me jump in for a second really quick before we run out of time. The technology for the jump room and for transportation to Mars and to establish a colony there, where did that technology come from? Did we get help from ET at that point?
Yeah, that was gifted to the U.S. according to multiple whistleblowers on the project, including Bernard Mendez, who was a presidential level advisor. That was gifted by a specific species of gray ETs to the U.S. government to jumpstart the U.S. Presence and colonization of the solar system.
And what did you make of, we've been talking about Andrew Basiago all night. It was kind of an accident, but I appreciate that. When the revealing from NASA a few weeks ago about the presence of water on Mars and flowing water and where it's coming from, well, Andrew talked about that a long time ago. Andrew talked about blue skies on Mars a long time ago, that the skies weren't red. And it seems like everything that Andrew talked about in the past is now something that NASA freely talks about, and they've quit altering. I think it's my opinion. They've quit changing the colors in their photographs, and when we look at the real colors, it looks like an atmosphere. What is next? Is NASA going to say that we don't need spacesuits, like Andrew said? There's plenty of oxygen there, and we'll be able to walk around freely on Mars? Is that what is coming next?
Well, you know, they're doing that kind of drip strategy, no pun intended, with the water. And so what their strategy is, what NASA's
strategy?
Yeah, disclosure strategy, to put kind of a nice word on it, is, I can only guess it, certainly what we're trying to do tonight and what we're doing in the book, The Omniverse, and what all of the whistleblowers are doing and what you guys at Coast to Coast are doing is pushing the envelope as much as we can. Because we have a man in the White House who's been on Mars, and he's putting out the word in reports and say that they have no definitive evidence that extraterrestrials exist. So the United States and the Americans are being put in an advanced state of cognitive dissonance. It's like the US government wants to drive its population crazy. And so what we say is that that time has ended, and now in 2016 we have to have a change, a regime change, and we have to have extraterrestrial disclosure, regime change in the US and extraterrestrial disclosure. That's what I think has to happen for the realization that we're in a populated, organized omniverse to finally come. Because if you have a guy in the White House who's been on these projects since for over 20 years, since 1980, with multiple witnesses, you know the guy now is a pathological liar, and he's probably a mole.
Well, Andy, Alfred, if you think about and you look back at the way Barack was on the Jimmy Kimmel show, he almost seemed uncomfortable, but at the same time comfortable. It was weird, and he didn't have a problem stating his opinions on the presence of ET. And
they say that Barack won't do it because they'll kill him if he does. I think that's baloney. I think that that's baloney, because all of us are out here, and it's us whistleblowers and us reporters who have risked our lives. And if we go out and try to say there's life on Mars, it's us who risk getting killed. Because I remember being in Hawaii at the ET conference there in 2005 and getting a call from my client, Andy Bashago, saying, the Bush White House just called me and said that if I continue with my revelations about time travel, they cannot guarantee my safety. And that was a man sent face to face from the George W. Bush White House. Okay?
How do you think, well, Alfred, how do you think disclosure is ultimately going to happen?
It's going to happen through power and control. Look what Vladimir Putin just did in Syria with ISIS. You had that shill, that double agent in the White House, who has been modeling ISIS in Syria, who has been telling the US pilots, to go to the edge of the desert and drop their bombs there. It was a lot of baloney. And finally, Putin got fed up, and he came in, and he is knocking out ISIS, and ISIS is going to be toast in about a month, at least the first level of it.
But that's not the question.
No. You asked, how is disclosure going to happen? And the answer is through elevation of consciousness by humans and through regime change. What's going to happen is that all of these Rothschild, Rockefeller team, the team, all of the Bushes, all of the Camerons, all of the Trudeaus, all of the Obamas, that whole farm team, that Rothschild farm team that's in now, that knows nothing but to give out the party line that, oh, we don't have the evidence for ET. Well, they can buy my book. And today, we still have a few minutes in Black Friday. It's on sale for half price at Amazon. So I urge people to go to Amazon and buy the Omniverse. You can get it either in Kindle or you can get it in soft cover. It's on half price on Black Friday. Okay, so what I'm telling you, it's going to be regime change and elevation of consciousness. The regime change is the change of the farm team of the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. They're the guys who place all these Obamas, all the Camerons, all the Trudeaus, all these, President Hollandes, who know nothing but to toe a party line that is nonsensical, that is driving their population into cognitive dissonance and insanity. That's what's going to bring disclosure.
But won't ET interfere with all of the negativity? Aren't they here to project a positive future?
Yeah. And see, ET is here to support the human plan. And because Earth is a planet of humans, and that's a given. Earth is not a planet for ETs. The plan is not to have ETs land and they're like Big Brother and we become like the savages who want to have the latest trinkets. That's not the picture. The picture is the human plan. And so advanced upper dimensional ethical ET works behind the scenes along with the intelligent civilization of souls that comes to you in dreams and helps elevate your consciousness and shows you the right thing to do and the right way to go, so that we can move these guys, these kind of shills who are in power now, who are part of a power control matrix that is a leftover from the Anunnaki occupation. That's why they all wear the same kind of hats. The Pope's hat looks like the king's crown. That looks like the Anunnaki's things if you go back to their pictures. That's, that game that we've been playing for 200,000 years, that chapter is over. We've closed that chapter. We're now in a new chapter. It's called the Omniverse chapter, and we're entering it. And we're entering the chapter of newly conscious citizens of the organized and highly populated universe and informed humans. This is a human planet. We have to do it on our own. And so right now we need a new farm team. We need to kick out the farm team of the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. These are guys like Obama. They're guys like Hillary Clinton. They're guys like Donald Trump, who are, managed news. All they're doing is bring the same thing. They want war, disease, crime, and poverty, and that's what they want. And so we're kicking them out. And the ETs are helping us behind the scenes. It's all behind the scenes. There is going to be no landing on the White House lawn. That's not the plan.
Alfred, we are up against it. Thank you so much, Alfred Webre. And the new book is The Omniverse, Transdimensional Intelligence, Time Travel, the Afterlife, and the Secret Colony on Mars. All of the information is there. His website is www.exopolitics.com.